Yes, another Monday morning. Welcome, Finger Lakes. It's the dog H. Weber with you with another edition of Weber This Week here on FingerLakes1.com. Well, we were expecting, I guess, some ice overnight and some possible snow. I got up and it was almost 50 degrees. Obviously no snow. A lot of wind today. I don't know what they're talking about tomorrow. They're saying it's going to be bone chilling tomorrow, but they say by the end of the week we're looking at low 40s. It's been a weird, wacky winter, and I trust... glad thing I'm not trying to fly anywhere. Most people are being tied up at airports for days on top of days. That's got to be real comfortable. Talk about a microtel. But all seriousness, welcome on a Monday. We welcome you to our show. And as we always do on this program, we try to mix it up and bring all types of people from all walks of life. And today is no exception. We have a young lady joining us this morning, Chelsea Campbell. Chelsea is a longtime friend of mine, and certainly I wanted her to come in and talk about her position, sort of a brand new one. Her title is actually, she is the City of Geneva Events Factory Coordinator. And with that, Chelsea, good morning. Welcome to our show, and thanks for coming in.
Good morning. Thank you.
All right, Chelsea, let's talk a little bit about yourself. Give our viewers an opportunity to tell them where you were brought up, where you went to school, talk a little bit about your college, etc., and give us a little rundown of where you've been and how you got to where you are right now.
All right. Well, I'm a 2010 Midlakes High School graduate, so I grew up in the area. Right after I graduated high school, I went to Niagara University, where I completed a degree in tourism and special event management with a minor in Italian studies. And that was a 4-year degree, and I actually completed it in 3. And then I was lucky enough, I found out about this position, which, like you said, is a brand new position for the City of Geneva. And I applied for it and interviewed for it the day after I graduated and was lucky enough to get the position. So I'm really blessed about that.
We should point out, before you got to this point, you've had some other work experience, and your resume is quite extensive. You started off with the American Cancer Society in Amherst, New York. Give us a quick comment about that experience.
Yeah, that was actually an internship, and since I was in 7th grade, actually, I was involved with the American Cancer Society through the Relay for Life at Midlakes. I was a team captain leader since the very first year that they brought it to Midlakes, and I still try to help out with that, but then when I went to college, I wanted to keep going on with it. So when I was at Niagara, I was able, again, to get that internship, and we worked on a Relay for Life up in Niagara Falls. We did a group called Colleges Against Cancer, where we advocated for more of a knowledge about it and how people can prevent it or reach out in their community to help out. So it was a really fulfilling job, and then after that, I actually did a 3-month internship in Bellagio, Italy, where I worked for 2 luxury hotels, which was
fabulous.
Absolutely. I wish everybody could do it. My philosophy now is if everyone got to go spend a little bit of time in Italy, the world would be a much happier place. But that being said, I have traveled a lot, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to stay in this area, because seeing everything that you can see in other parts of the world, we absolutely live in a gorgeous part of the world, the Finger Lakes. We are so lucky to be here. So I really wanted to help bring events and, convince people who, don't really see it that we are really lucky to live here.
Now, as far as working in Italy and having been there the period of time, and I recall when you told us you were going to go there, experience that, a lot of non-speaking had to understand the language, so they did not understand English, a lot of people?
Well, where I was in northern Italy, okay, and a lot of people come down from England, so there is more of an English-speaking population than if you go further south in Italy. I did have to take 3 years of Italian to be able to go, so that was helpful. Only my professor was from southern Italy, and I was in northern Italy, and much like the United States, there's a really big dialect difference, so I basically had to relearn.
Do you speak it fluently?
I wouldn't say so.
Do you understand it?
Yeah, I can understand it a lot more than I can speak it.
Okay, good. Yeah. Chelsea Campbell joins us this morning at Weber This Week, and we're going to get her now to talk a little bit about her present job. Of course, the City of Geneva, as we all know, has got a lot going for itself. I picked on it last week, and I took a shot at my friend Matt Horn, who I've never met before, about the potholes on Hamilton Street. Chelsea must not have heard that comment. But in all seriousness, it's a hustling, bustling city. A lot of things, brightness in their future up there. The lakefront, we've been hearing about that for a zillion years. It seems like a zillion years. What's going to happen? We all heard about the boat museum, not going to happen. Was there, not going to happen. They pulled out, went to Hammondsport. But there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of things going to be taking place in the next few years. Chelsea, you might want to touch on that. But when you apply for this job, I was going through your extensive resume, and I must point out there was one thing that I always wanted to ask you. The title is City of Geneva Events Factory Coordinator. Explain to me why the word factory is in there.
So this job was actually created by some citizens in Geneva who felt that our city needed something like that. And I guess that's just what they came up with.
Okay.
To, have a factory, because it's a one-stop shop.
Right.
So people can come in to me. I'm right in City Hall, and they can sit down, share their ideas. I've created various applications for the level of event. And then I'll work with you all the way through up until the day of the event. I'll coordinate all the logistics with you, from police to the Department of Public Works, making sure you get your cones, barricades, permits, insurance, everything like that. So I think that's where they came up with the idea for the factory, because it's a one-stop shop.
Chelsea Campbell is our special guest this morning at Weber This Week. And by the way, Chelsea, what constitutes an event? If Jim Sonnegroby lives in the City of Geneva and has 35 people come over to his backyard for a barbecue, is that considered an event?
No.
Okay, what is an event, the terminology of an event?
An event could be a multitude of different things, from a parade, a carnival, a block party.
Okay.
Anything that is going to use a public city resource and is open to the general public.
And as far as that goes, as far as a fee for what you provide for them with the insurance, etc., is there a fee for City of Geneva residents?
Yes.
And that fee would be? The
fee is $100 because, again, you are using a city resource, and at the same time, the guys who are out there working, they might have to go work overtime for it.
Sure.
They need to maintenance the utilities and equipment that you're going to be using for your event. So there is a $100 fee, which we compared it to all the other cities in the area, and that's really a generous, fair price for.
Can a non-city resident apply for a event?
Yep. And I actually have a few. As long as it's something that's going to benefit the City of Geneva, which in my eyes, mostly any event will, then come on in and I'll make sure you can get a spot.
A non-city resident would pay a little more?
No, it's just $100 for everybody.
Okay, so if I ask for an event on August the 12th and Jim's a non-resident and asks for the same night another event, would the city resident get preferential treatment?
It's first come, first serve.
First come, first serve.
And I have numbers on the top of the applications, and I put it down, and there's sign-offs, dates that you have to put down to make sure. So, I mean...
Chelsea, what were some of your biggest events this year, the most successful ones that you've done in the past year?
Well, I only got to start working in June, and many of the events were already in place. I kind of just dabbled in and tried to learn about the events more. So this year I'm going to be a bigger helping hand than I was for the past few months.
So would the cruising night event fall under your umbrella of events that
Yep. I work really closely with BID, and they're awesome. I work with them for a lot of things, and cruising night was so much fun. I got to really get my hand in there and wake up for early 8 a.m. meetings to get everything going. We did a Linden Street shakedown, which we closed off Linden Street, and there were local artists of all variations that came in for a night, and it was pretty bad weather, but apparently they all had a blast, so that was awesome. Unfortunately, there was a carnival that was supposed to be going on that, due to weather, they had to shut down, but they're bringing it back for this year again, so we're really crossing our fingers that it works out.
And talk a little bit about the lakefront. There's certainly going to be a lot of things happening on the lakefront. And I'm sure that's going to be keeping your office quite busy as well.
Yeah, so we just completed a 5,000 square foot ballroom event center. And there are different price ranges depending on if it's in season or off season, weekend or weekday. And, you know, if you're willing to pay for it like any other venue,
Sure.
you can come in and we'll help coordinate an event with that, and it's beautiful. It's in the area. It's one of the closest venues directly on the lake, and the one side is the glass windows, so it's really pretty. But there's also, I mean, the gazebo that you can rent. You can rent the whole lakefront, and again, you can rent the whole lakefront, and it's still just a $100 fee to coordinate the logistics and to get your exclusive use for it.
So what about events like the Trout Derby or like the hydroplane boat race? Does every event in Geneva kind of go through you, or does some of them kind of happen without your coordination?
No, even if you don't need my help in coordinating things, we still ask that you come through because we have acknowledgement papers, because if, you know, we need to make sure that events aren't going to overlap with each other, and you want everything to work together the best way possible. So even if you don't feel like you need our help, you still should really come in. Make sure you do that.
All under one roof. Like you said, one-stop shopping.
And also, by coming in and just telling me that you're going to do an event, I can go put it up on our websites, I can send it off to the paper, and I can help you get more publicity to get more people to come to your event too.
Now, are you the one person doing all of this, or you have some helpers, or as far as events go, do you have to go in and check how an event turned out? Do you stop in and make an appearance once in a while to see how it turned out or how it's doing?
Yeah, well, so my position actually falls under the recreation department, so I work under Janelle Jock, who was on your show a few weeks ago.
Right. Great guest, yep.
Yeah, and I have different surveys that I'll send out to event coordinators after their event to see their satisfaction, if anything needs to change. And I'm putting that all together in a graph again. It's a really big learning experience. So at the same time, I ask people to bear with me. And if you have a suggestion, let me know. I've only been here for a few months.
Yeah.
It's a new position,
Sure.
so...
Well, it's obviously going to keep you busy. Well, a bright future for the City of Geneva, and certainly in the hands of this young lady. You can tell it's going to remain 100 wattish. Certainly, she obviously knows what she's doing. She's a humble person as well. She's received several awards. We're going to get to that, and also some of her community involvement as well, as Chelsea Campbell is our special guest this morning on Weber This Week on a windy Monday. And we'll come back after we take our commercial break, talk a little bit about sports, talk about a little bit of football. Big time for football, isn't it? And they're worried about New York and Super Bowl, the weather. Has anyone checked out Green Bay lately? We'll be back. Eagle Lake National Bank. Bill Ryan and his team for all of your banking needs. Offices in Union Springs and Aurora. A fine sponsor of this show for over 30 years. DA Liquor, Seneca Falls. Amy Padula and her great team will find that right spirit for you every time. Tell Amy the dog sent you. Steve Wadhams, Wadhams Enterprises, your employer of choice. Proud supporter of this show and local athletics. Steve Muller Motors, smullermotors.com. Quality, affordable vehicles, both foreign and domestic. Bob and Leslie Oman, owners of the Oman Theater, in Lions as well as the New York Pilots, a minor league baseball team with a major league ballpark. Lizard's Tailgater Lounge, Waterloo. Best mott sticks around, where you can enjoy a drink and some laughs. SenecaFallsCountryClub.com. Awesome 18-hole layout, offering a 12-month payment plan. Home of the toughest par 4 in central New York. That'd be number 16. Wilson Press, wpress.com. Seneca Falls, Rich Ricky, my good friend, and his team can handle all of your printing and mailing needs. Rich Ricky, Wilson Press, a fine sponsor of Weber This Week. And we're back. This is the Dog H. Weber with another edition of Weber This Week here on FingerLakes1.com. Certainly, we'll get back to Chelsea Campbell, our special guest this morning on the show. She is the events factory coordinator for the City of Geneva. She's involved in a lot of hustling, bustling, and a lot of events that are being staged that have previously been staged year to year, and probably a bunch of new ones that'll probably be unveiled as 2014 proceeds. Well, we're going to take a break from Chelsea in just a few seconds. We'll be back with her in a minute or so. But the world of sports needs our attention, Jimmy. First off, your SU basketball team just keeps on motoring. Yes, it was a close ACC opener against Miami, but a win is a win is a win.
Yeah, that's what we do. We win, and we've been close to a lot of games, like down the 5-minute stretch, and we'll end up winning and pulling away. Even in games where it's a little scary, we were down 18 to Villanova in the first half. We were down the second half to Miami. And, a friend of mine actually said last night, he goes, they're going to lose one eventually. I'm like, I'd like to see somebody try. Yeah. Try and beat them. I know. Duke lost to Notre Dame this weekend.
Their best players out of school.
Yeah, Jerry and Grant's out of school, and they still ended up beating Duke. Pittsburgh beat NC State. So the three new Big East teams are 3-0 to start the ACC play, which I really like that. And North Carolina lost again last night. So
amazing.
And Kansas lost again last night. So what I say is, in the beginning of the season, me and my college basketball junkie friends would say, boy, Kansas looks good. You look at the athletes they got, the new guys they got, and Duke, Jabari Parker, they all look well. Kansas has 3 losses. Duke has 3 losses.
SU has none.
Syracuse has none. So
let's talk about football. If I was the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs, I would have made that team walk home. I mean, that's embarrassing. 28-point lead, and you cannot win. Are you serious, Jimbo? Andy Reid, I'm sorry, you just can't lose a game when you're up by 28.
I remember watching that thinking, geez, Philadelphia's probably kicking themselves. Yeah. Kansas City, led by Andy Reid's going to advance to the next round. And now they're both out. Philadelphia loses and Kansas City
amazing.
loses.
I would have made them walk home from, Indianapolis, take the bus, and hope it doesn't start up. That's embarrassing. And certainly, as we look about embarrassing, how about Dalton for Cincinnati? The sixth, number 6 in the world of NFL with the worst playoff record ever. The Bengals just continue to flounder. Dalton, hello, is that Walton? Is he one of the Walton boys, or what's going on with this guy? I mean, he threw more passes to the other jerseys than I can imagine.
I think
talk about a gag city. It was amazing.
Yeah, Cincinnati is one of those teams that nobody picked to win the Super Bowl, and it's like that every year that they get into the playoffs, they're never a favorite. They're always a wild card, and so that's not surprising. His record's so bad, but. All good games, though, this week. Pitiful. All 4 games were really good games.
Yeah, they were. Next week, of course, San Francisco travels to Carolina. That could be payback time. Carolina beat San Fran in San Fran a few weeks ago. A good one here. I've always been sort of a Charger fan, and Norv Turner never could make it happen for the Chargers. They played really good. They're traveling to take on the high-powered Denver Broncos next weekend. Indianapolis travels to take on Tom Brady in New England. What a comeback by Indy. And, of course, the Saints. They are still alive. The New Orleans Saints will take on Seattle, which undoubtedly has the best home crowd in the world of football. If you ever watched NFL, if you're checking me out right now along with Chelsea, I'm sure this is the Beauty and the Beast show. She's the beauty and I'm the beast. But in all honesty, folks, if you've ever never watched NFL, I would ask you to do me a favor. This weekend, I think it's Saturday, Jimmy, the Seattle game. It's either Saturday. I think it is. I think it's Saturday. If you've never watched an NFL game and got the spirit of a rousing crowd, do me a favor. Let's say you've never turned on the TV to watch ever football. Next weekend when the Seattle game gets played, turn it on against the Saints. Just listen to that crowd. That is the most loudest, best home crowd ever. I'm approaching 69 years of age in another few months. I have never witnessed or heard a crowd that is that into it from the start to the finish than the Seattle crowd. You can say, and everybody says, well, Seattle, what does that Seattle bring to mind? 2 things right now. Robinson Cano, $240 million for 10 years. Thank you very much. And Starbucks, right, Chelsea? Starbucks, Seattle, Starbucks. When I hear Seattle, I think of Starbucks. But now I think of Robinson Cano. But if you really want to get the spirit of a crowd, a home crowd, check out that Seattle home crowd, Jimmy. It's unbelievable. Yeah. I normally don't get shocked anymore having followed this world of sports for 50 years, but that crowd is outrageously great.
Yeah, and it's strange because
it's amazing
Seattle hasn't been that good, but that crowd has been there season to season. So.
The best home crowd in the world of NFL, in my opinion.
No doubt. Another great scene, was at Lambeau this weekend.
Oh.
Have you seen anything how cold that was?
Oh, yeah. And one comment about these stupid owners for the NFL. They're talking about the Super Bowl coming up 4 weeks from yesterday. It's the Super Bowl February 2nd at MetLife Stadium. And the owners, of course, got a cop-out. They're saying, well, if the weather's too bad in New York City, we'll move the Super Bowl. You don't move the Super Bowl. Hello? That's like Christmas.
Yeah, they talked about delaying it till Monday.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Chelsea's got to go to work, and so do I. Give me a break. These owners are idiots. I mean, number one, let me tell you something. If you can play football in that game yesterday in Green Bay, you can play anywhere. And
that's right.
You suck it up. If it's 10 below zero in New York come February 2nd, too bad. Wear a helmet, put on those things over 14 clothes. I don't care what you. The only way I would let those players go in the locker room, Jimmy, is lightning, and I understand that.
Yeah, sure.
Lightning could kill us all. I understand that. I don't want anybody on the field if there's lightning in the area. That golf tournaments, you see them all the time. The buzzer goes, get them off the course. If there's lightning in the area, you don't play the game, and lightning usually passes in a couple hours. But if it's cold or raining or hail or snow, who cares?
It's football.
It's football.
Chelsea, who's your favorite team?
Yeah.
I like the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Nice.
A lot of people around here like the Steelers.
You were going to ask something during commercial, Jimmy, about Chelsea's desires for food. Knowing
I
that
was
she has
thinking
the
that
Italian background.
She spent some time in northern Italy,
Right.
so she obviously got to taste some of the best food in the world. And I'm wondering what local restaurants you go to that kind of can compete with that level of cuisine, or your favorites, I guess.
My favorite around here, actually, at Ventosa Vineyards, they have a brick oven grill for their pizza, but their paninis are to die for. And then actually, Opus just went to Geneva as well, and their paninis are right up there too. I'll give
So
them
you're
that.
a panini fan.
I am.
Okay, yeah, panini.
I like paninis. Yeah, I like them
They're
too.
really good.
Well, listen, Chelsea Campbell is our special guest this morning on Weber This Week. She is the events factory coordinator for the City of Geneva, a job recently created, brand new job. As she has talked about in the first part of our interview this morning, she talked about being the one-stop shopping lady that will handle your details from start to finish, make sure your event is well run and well organized, and make sure that she has all the permits in place.
Yep.
She'll make sure the police presence is there. She'll make sure it is. If they need some help from the maintenance group, they'll make sure the water is running or whatever it needs to be done, and the heat's on if you're renting a building or taking over. But in all seriousness, Chelsea is a very humble person. She hasn't talked about some of the awards this young lady has received in her career, and I might add that. I'm going to just run down a couple of things to probably get her face all red, but from June 2005 to 2013, she was involved in the American Cancer Society Relay for Life. She also got American Cancer Society Relay for Life in Niagara Falls. She talked about that. But as far as awards go, in November 2010, she got the American Cancer Society Relay for Life top fundraising participant. In 2011, she was the Phelps Clifton Springs American Cancer Society Relay for Life honorary chair member and motivational speaker. In 2012, she was the American Cancer Society Winemakers Dinner honorary guest and motivational speaker. And I should point out that her humility is showing this morning, because she would never brag about herself. That's my job. In November 2009, Miss Teen New York, she Miss Congeniality. Congratulations. Yes, I know that you don't want to be talked about, but that's what my job is to do. In November 2009, Miss Teen Rochester, New York State, 2010. In June 2010, she was the Young Women of Distinction Award. And in June 2010, she got the Phelps Chamber of Commerce Scholarship Award. So, young lady, I won't ask you to comment on those awards because I know you're a humble person, and but it sounds like you've had a storied career, such a young life, and congratulations on the outstanding achievements.
Thank you.
I was just going to ask Chelsea,
Yeah.
you did a lot of work, for cancer fundraisers. Is there something about that drew you to it, or some experience in your family? Or
Yeah, I actually grew up with cancer all around me, I feel like. The first kind of take I had with it, my best friend, her father actually passed away when we were very young. And a few months after that, I found out that my mom actually had breast cancer. And she's the toughest lady I've ever met. She battled it for 8 years, and sadly, in 2009, she lost her battle to it. And, such is life. But now I just really, I really would like to help other people, you know, get through that, understand it, and realize that there are other people who really want to lend them a helping hand, because no matter what, it's not going to be easy, and it's never going to get easier.
Sure.
So as long as you have other people with you, you know, maybe you can take your mind off of it.
Right.
And we should point out that my son-in-law will celebrate, unfortunately, will celebrate his second year of passing tomorrow.
Yeah.
I believe it's 2-year anniversary of Matt Foe, who was my son-in-law and a great young man. And he contracted brain cancer at an early age, and we all know the story on Matt, and it went into remission. They had surgery after surgery, and then it would get better, and it would get worse, and finally, I believe it's 2 years tomorrow, and great young man, and Chelsea had an opportunity to be close to him as well as many of our family, and I tell you, it's something that I guess, Chelsea, that you never take granted for life, but that cancer word is something that spreads and affects millions and millions of people.
And, you know, my mom used to say her main thing was always that she wasn't just going to survive, she was going to thrive. And I am really happy to say I ended up, after her passing, I got Thrive tattooed right behind my ear. And one of my favorite days, Matt called me up, and he's like, you know, I really like that. And he ended up getting Thrive tattooed behind his ear, too. So, I mean, that's just something for people to think about. You need to thrive in life with everything that you do.
Well, I miss Matt because he was, you know, I know tomorrow's going to be a tough day for my daughter Samantha and our granddaughter Izzy, and marking the second anniversary of his passing. But I've told a lot of Matt Foe's stories, and he was a great volunteer, involved in the fire department, involved in a lot of things. He was the apple of the eye of our family, and also my mom, who passed away in September. He used to make special trips to see her up in Geneva at the assisted care living up there. And I always tell the story. He would just bust chops. And, you know, we talked to Mary, my wife, one day, and he said, what time does he always called me Harry. What time does Harry go to bed? And Mary said, Harry goes to bed at 9:30. And he goes, 9:30? So, yeah, but he gets up real early, Matt. And, oh, okay. So, I don't know, a couple of nights later, the phone rang at 9:45, and guess who it was? It was Matt. Mary, of course, is wide awake. She stays up 11:30, midnight some nights to watch shows. I'm usually a 9:30, 9:45 guy that hits the sack. And Matt was on the other line and wanted to talk to me. So I got out of bed, and I went, hello, and I hadn't fallen asleep. I was getting ready to sleep. He said, Harry, this is Matt. He said, how you doing? I said, I'm in bed. Oh, you go to bed this early? Of course, he knew I went to bed at 9:30. So for the next 3 or 4 nights, every night at 9:45, the phone would ring, and he was brutal. But I'll tell you right now, and you were going to miss this kid, and I think about him all the time, he made one hell of an apple pie.
Oh, yeah.
He was quite the chef boy.
Really good.
He was a great baker. And so as we approach, and certainly I have fond memories of this kid. I always think of him day in and day out. And Chelsea, I guess it's amazing. We're almost out of time, but Chelsea Campbell's been our special guest this morning, Weber This Week. So, again, Chelsea, your title up there is?
The City of Geneva Events Factory Coordinator.
And so the point you would like to make to our viewers is if they have interest in scheduling an event?
I'm a one-stop shop. I will help you beginning to end with all logistics of your event to make it thrive in the city and for everyone involved. My office is on the 2nd floor of City Hall, room number 3, right on Castle Street. Come anytime. My office hours are 8:30 to 4:30, and I can also be emailed at cac@geneva.ny.us.
Well, sounds good. Well, I know Jimmy and myself have enjoyed you to come in and take time out of your busy schedule to be a part of the show. We wish you nothing but the best, and I know that with you involved in putting these events on, they're going to be very successful. So thanks for joining us.
No, thank you, guys.
Thanks, Chelsea, for coming
All right,
in.
Chelsea, thank you very much. And by the way, folks, we go from Chelsea Campbell to the world of politics. We go from events factory coordinator to the world of politics, and what a bizarre world that is. We're bringing in another good friend of mine next week who's been a supervisor, county supervisor for several years. He's got a storied background himself. Steve Churchill will be here for the full half hour next week on the couch. Steve Churchill, county supervisor, will be our special guest for the full half hour. We're looking forward to bringing more political types. I've got a call into Mike Nizzolio's office to try to get Mike back on, and a host of others. Again, if you'd like to come on our show, again, we do everything, and we'll talk about basically any subject you'd like to talk about. Just keep it clean. Let us know here at fingerlakes1.com.
Yeah, email webdog at fingerlakes1.com.
Webdog. I got more nicknames than cutters have got liver pills. Speaking for Chelsea Campbell, along with our producer, director, owner, Jim Senacropi, you have a wonderful week, everybody. Try to stay cool, and the temperatures will rise by the end of the week. Take care.